Hi guys, welcome to today's session, and I'm going to be discussing on the processes around ERPNext. So it's going to be a different way. Today's discussion is not going to be the regular way because a friend reached out to me um, telling me to explain the possibilities around um, ERPNext, what ERPNext can offer in terms of fixed assets. So strictly fixed assets, how assets can be registered and how these assets can be tracked within the ERPNext. So also the transactions around fixed assets, we discussed on that. So we had an engagement where he explained all these processes to me. So the reason why I would say I need to discuss with my client is because I want to removing it from the standard ways of business processes. I still want to engage with them so that I can understand what their processes are, and at the same time marry it with the standard way. So there could be some specific needs that are not that serious that is actually required, and I need to also take that into consideration when I'm implementing a solution for my client. So from our engagement, I told him to send some of these documents to me. So he sent this. They want what's it called, their asset to be tracked on locations. They want to know the location these assets are. They are and these locations are broken down into different segments, and we need to also take this into consideration. So leaving the standard that ERPNext has built, we cannot just work with the standard. So we needed to do some little customization so that at least it will be able to serve them and give them a better result. So I'm going to be sharing some of these things with you. So look at this, and again, this is just it's not going to be a full training. It's more like me demonstrating what I have done and the possibilities or the um, what's it called? What ERPNet can actually offer for this particular clients. So let's look at this. So this is location. So they have all their locations, and I can see that they have a lot of locations and from this Excel sheet. So from the demo I'm going to do, I'm not going to be using everything. I'm just going to, I only picked some of them. So I'm going to show you some of the things I have done on that. At the same time, he sent, I think he sent this as well. So this was also sent. So if you look at this as well, this shows what's it called, the assets. I want to believe these are the categories because if you look at it, it's not a full asset. So these are more like the categories which we also built. And so the only thing, we don't have the specific asset, so we might have to come up with an asset but based on these categories and the depreciation method that was used and all that. So then what else? I think those the two documents is sent. Okay, there's still one other document is sent relating to cost centers. Yeah, I think cost centers as well. So not only on location, cost centers are involved, departments are involved, and all that. So we want to be able to see how ERPNext can achieve this for this client. So let's go straight. And also, we apart from the fixed asset, yeah, it's still part of the fixed asset. So on fixed asset, I'm going to show you the depreciation, how depreciation is being done briefly. Um, if you need to sell an asset and all that, but everything is going to be very brief because this is just a demo, not my regular way of training. Um, let's look at something else on that. Okay, then okay, yeah, before I forget, they also want a workflow process. Yes, so they want a kind of authorization level where asset needs to be moved from one location to the other. So they want to be able to as well monitor it. So the request should be made. Someone is supposed to approve, or a particular department is supposed to approve. Then moving on to another level of approval like that. So a workflow, I'm going to also show you that as well, but we'll try as much as possible to cover it in little time. Okay, so we all know that ERPNext is a full-fledged ERP system. So, and it is also an open source in the sense that you can have these and you don't need to do a kind of renewal. Um, what's it called, yearly renewal or subscription basis on it, but you still need to pay for your implementation. You still need to pay for the server. If you are going to be using a cloud server, you still need to secure that, all those kinds of resources. So you still need to do, the only thing you might not be doing is the subscription basis. And then it also gives rooms for customizations and some kinds of development. So it's an open source. And so let's look at it. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Moving on. So this is the module. I would have shown you how the module, the asset is being received, but we are um, we are sticking to just assets register, because the process is actually you purchase an asset from the procurement department, they raise a kind of requisition for the asset and it goes through all that. But this we are not going to be discussing on that, because this particular client is only on asset module. So we're not going to be looking at the finances aspect, although there might be some little finances aspect, just like um, the accounts we created and all that. So there might be some, but going into the full details, no, we're not going to be looking at that. So I look at the assets. So this is my assets. Let's look at some of the categories that we have created. So those categories that we have created on the system, you will see that we've created these categories, and each of these categories as well is attached to the depreciation method. So if you look at it, there is a depreciation method here. Then the useful life. So if you look at from the Excel sheet here, this Excel sheet has a kind of lifespan for each categories of assets, so which is the same thing that was considered when creating our assets categories. So this is more like the groups. So we do that, you can see. Then as well, we need to create a ledger account for each category. So on your ledger account, I can show you, let me briefly show you the ledger account. Let's just go to ledger account here. Let's see what we have on our ledger account. Yes. So if this particular client was using the full what's it called, ERP, it would have been very lovely, because everything is integrated and it is just seamless. So looking at this now, for example, you can see, sorry, let me click this. So fixed assets, you can see that all the assets, the cost of the assets accounts are created. You can see the accumulated depreciation as well. All fixed asset accounts are created here. So the categories are here. Then looking now at, let's look at something else. I think, okay, that's just all on assets. Let me just go out of these so that don't waste too much time. So that is that about categories. So let's go back again. What else? Yeah, so another place that is also important is the location, because we had to create other locations. Yeah, the system has just one location, that is by standard, it is just one location. But if you look at from the Excel sheet that was sent, you see that there are different locations, and these locations have what's it called? They have uh, yeah. Look at this now. This is more like local government. The state it belongs to. The code, all of them have a code on it. Then the building use, you can look at. So all these things are actually needed because I'm sure they want to pull a report that is going to show all this. They want to be able to know where the assets are at a glance. So I think that's the main reason why they have this, and it's also very important to make your reports in that regard. So looking at that, so we came up with something like this. So we created these regions as well. So we can create so many things within the ERP system. Um, we created all that. Then it becomes a drop down when we pick. So now all these are linked to location. Let's look at the locations in general. We look at the location now. Look at this location. You can see the location code. You can see. Yeah. So this as well, you can be able to map where the asset is within the ERP of next. You can map where the asset is here as well. Then what else? I think those are just so putting all these details, all this is just what was there before, so we added all this as well in it. Then going out of this, let's go into the assets in proper. So if we go to assets, to create an asset, let me just show you. Then create an asset. So you have to give it an asset code. Now also the assets, you can attach an item to it, so all the items will definitely be created. So let's look at computer desktop. Then I give a code. So the code can actually um, we can create it to automatically create itself when an asset is added. So more like you saying an onto numbering. So but if you have your code, you can as well write it or fill it in directly on the ERPNext, so you can see asset code. So if you have a pattern, as long as it is a pattern, that same pattern can be maintained going forward. At first, we might need to use whatever you have on ground as physical. We'll put it there. So going forward, we can automate the system to automatically generate an asset numbering for you. So we can do that here. So for this training purpose or for this demo, let me just put something here. Just or let me just choose one of. Let me see if I can. Let's see something. Let's pick something here. So okay, let me use this for instance. And let's use this code for instance. I'll use this code. Then give it a name. I can just call it let's say HP laptop, whatever laptop. Then let me see. Okay, let me use this. Let me just call this. I'm just giving it a name. That's just a description. Now, automatically, because I've chosen the item name, the item is actually attached to a category. So now look at this category here. This category is asset category was the first thing I showed you. So if you look at this now, clicking on this, I just need to pick the category it belongs to. So automatically look at this. You see this now. See, you can see. So all this has been set up, predefined already. So as long as you pick the correct asset categories, you won't have any challenge. Look at this, for instance, here. Look at the 6 here. So 56 months on the system, and that's the same thing that we have created there. So if the asset owner, so this is now between the company and internal use. If it's going to be for, if the asset is owned by you as a company, or it is owned by a third party, maybe your supplier and all things, so you can specify, but it is not a mandatory field. You can leave it as it is. Then location. So now look at this location at this point. This is based on those locations I showed earlier. So I'm sure these assets are going to be in those locations. So let me just pick where this asset actually belong to. So from here, I have just two locations that I've created. So automatically creating, picking the location, it will drop down. Um, Most of these things here are actually customized for this particular client. So if you look at this location details, so if you click here now, so based on whatever I've chosen here, it draws down the information here. So when you were creating our location details, I showed you the other. So let's look at this now. For instance, let me pick another one. So choosing another thing here, this changes as well. So look at this changes. So these are things we saw from the Excel, and we created something similar in that regard. So let's leave this as it is now. So custodian, this is more like the user. So the system, like I said, ERPNext, the full ERP system. So it is integrated as well to a payroll system. So HR capital management, um, you can actually do the full process around your HR and payroll within this same thing. So because it's a full-fledged, so it is integrated. If you need to create your employees, yeah, definitely. So it means that they are the users of that particular. So whoever I pick here means that is a custodian to the what's it called, to the assets. So but if I don't need it, I can leave it as it is. Then also the department. So you can say that, oh, this asset is for a particular department as well. So you can also choose departments. So different departments might be created. So for you, if you have different departments, so those departments will definitely be created on the system. Now, now this is another point that is very important. Like I said earlier, because you're not using the finance aspect of it, so we might not look at the aspect of making requisition for this particular asset, that is procuring the asset from the beginning. So we are looking at starting from uh, asset register. This particular client have a different solution that handles the finance and is working well for them. So the only thing that they want us to look at is the fixed asset module, and that is what we are concentrating on. So because you are not using the finance aspect of it, you are not going to be having um, your invoice documents coming from the procurement department. So you need to take this. You need to take this. So you are explaining that it is an existing asset. So you're telling the system that it is an existing asset. Or even though you've been using, maybe you have what's it called? You have your legacy. Okay, your legacy system is actually, let's say, Excel. You've been using your Excel to register your assets right from time, and you want to bring it onto this new system. So you can as well also click is existing assets. So there are two functions this is working for. You've been running your asset depreciation, you've been running your asset, you've been keeping register of your asset for a long time on a different system or a different on an Excel sheet, and you want to bring it onto the system. So you can tick here as existing assets. That is one. The other way is that you don't want to infuse the process of procurement into this. So, so for that reason, you need to tick this. If you don't tick this, the system, look at this now. I'll close this back since we're done with that. Look at this. Because I did not tick this, look at this aspect of purchase detail. The system will definitely ask me for a purchase receipt is a mandatory field, and it's also a mandatory field to supply the purchase invoice. You understand? So these two things are very important when you are procuring an asset from beginning. But if you are not, you just need to tick this. So what the system will do is that it will remove this function as not mandatory and only provide you with the option to impute your purchase price of the asset, which is the asset cost price. So this is what I'm trying to say. If I take this, for instance, you can look at this now. I'm taking this thing too deep, like more like I'm doing a training. So let me just, so I'll put this is the gross amount. This is the purchase amount of the asset. Let's assume this asset was purchased for like 1.2 million. Then you need to specify the date at which the asset was purchased. When was the asset purchased? Was the asset purchased last week, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 5 years ago, and all that? So you need to specify. And okay, so I'll pick a date here. Let me just pick any date. Let me just pick any date. Let's say, okay. It was purchased around these dates. You understand? Now, it was purchased around the year. You could buy an asset and keep without using it. You understand? But if you need to use that asset, then you need to specify the dates that it will be available for usage. So when you want to start using the asset. So let's assume you purchase this asset this date and you want to start using it. Let's say um, okay, this is 13th, sorry, of October. So let's say I want to start using it around this period. That's when the user actually starts, or when the user is supposed to start using it and all that. Because you are going to use this as well, uh, this date would have to be considered when you need to set up when your assets is supposed to start depreciating. So it is important as well. I'm going too deep into this thing. So let's go on. Let's pick this. So you need to also specify. You need to specify the depreciation that the system should calculate depreciation and all that. So if you are not ready to start depreciating, you might just leave this as it is. But if you want to start depreciating immediately, take this. Now, we have something here called opening accumulated depreciation. For an existing um, asset, the assets you've been keeping record, you've been keeping the record, you have the Excel sheet, you have all the data that is needed. So you definitely, I'm sure you will know the details of what is involved with assets. So I shouldn't be going into that. So one of the things that is needed is accumulated depreciation. So you might want to also write the accumulated depreciation of the asset. So far, what the asset has accumulated, the depreciation it has had. So with that, you'll be able to get going forward the balance. So the system would be able to tell you, okay, from this period your net book value is this, and this is what you'll be depreciating for. But if you are not using that, you can leave it as blank as it is. You can make this as blank. Then automatically, because you have chosen this drops. Because you have also chosen this, which is asset category, this drops for you here. Now, this can actually be modified if you wish, but there's no need for us modifying it because we have done that, checked that this is what is actually needed. And so so I can decide to change the values there. Now, how many times do you want the system? So this is the total period the asset is supposed to depreciate in month. Now, this is the depreciation method. So different depreciation method are available. So I'll pick this. That is what this client is using. Then, how many times you want the asset to depreciate in this particular month? In for each month of depreciation, how many times? So we want to depreciate just once. Now, when will the system start depreciating, which is different from usage? So, when should the system start using? When is the asset available for usage? Was the previous one we picked, but now we are picking when should the system start depreciating. So the system should start depreciating. Let's assume, okay, so and definitely it has to be a date after the usage. So let's, you can do, it should be any date after the usage, availability for usage. So let's say that was October, right? Okay, so still following accounting policies and principles, because this also guides your accounting principles and policies. It adheres strictly to it. So with this, I can say, okay, you want to start depreciating immediately, which is a day, or you want it to be a month. So depending on what you want. So let's assume October, I want this to start in November. So I'll pick November 25th. So it means that whatever date I've picked there, so every month is going to depreciate and is going to use this date. So this is the date that is going to use as its transaction date for recording the depreciation. Now look at this as well. There's something here called the salvage value or the scrap value. So you need to specify your scrap value if you have a scrap value, or if you don't have a scrap value, you can leave it as it is. So what the scrap value does is that it will remove the scrap value from the purchase cost. Then the remaining balance is what is going to spread spread for the depreciation period. So it's going to spread it or the useful life. So it's going to share it among that. So which means that at the end of your depreciation, when the system is fully depreciated, this balance will still remain there. So this is more like an estimated value that when an asset is fully depreciated, this should still be there. So this should not depreciate. This should be the value at the end. So that is that. So you can enter that value there. Then on here, what else? So if you have insurance details, policy numbers, insurance start date, you can also input it here as well. So if you want to create a schedule, a maintenance schedule, like a to do. For instance, if this was a vehicle and you wish that every month you need to do some servicing, you want the system to always alert you on that, you can as well click on maintenance required. So with this, the system will alert you based on those things. But if you are not doing that, you can leave it as it is. You understand? So I think those are just the basic things that is needed here. Then when you're done, just click on save. So immediately you click on save. Now, immediately you click on save, you will see that look at what the system will do. Immediately what I just did was to click on save. So the system, based on the information that you have inputted, the system will automatically calculate depreciation for each month. Look at this now. This you can see that other values are equal. They are the same thing except this one. So this must have been a prorated date based on the date here. So this the system must have prorated this date. So that's just that. So you can see the system. So which means that every month the system is going to go and depreciate this for you. Now we explain something. Just let me finish this. Watch, I will still come back here. I'll come back here to do something. Okay. So when you are done, it means that yes, you are ready. You have confirmed if this value, for instance, okay, I don't want this value here. I want it to be the same value. I only need to change this date. Probably I need to change this date. So let's say this for instance, and save it. Let's see this. So um, but definitely it's this. This is just on operation. This is on operation. Let's keep sporting the date. So I'll leave it as it is because I don't want to start computing and checking out. So this is on operation. I mean, okay. Let me change this. Okay, let me change. Let me use this for this. I want it to have equal values all through. So yeah, so you can see. So that definitely is on the system had to prorate the date. So I think that's all here. So all you just need to do is to click on submit. Automatically, this is what you are going to be having for every month. So by the time I click on submit and I say yes, so I'm already ready. I've already registered the asset as of now. So I've registered the asset by clicking on submit. So this can also go through approval. So if you wish to use approval, maybe you want your what's it called? Your junior staff to create the asset. Then somebody needs to review whatever the person has done, then somebody would submit it. So submit means like you are posting it that nothing, you shouldn't be able to change it again. So when you have submitted, you won't be able to change anything here, except you want to do some transactions relating to that asset. So for instance, if you want to revalue the asset, you don't need to change anything. You just go and run a transaction for that. If you want to do a depreciation, you need to run a value for it. If you need to scrap this asset, you need to do a transaction for that. So you don't need to start modifying anything within here again. So this is that all that. So now look at, so it means that the system is actually meant to depreciate for this month, which is November 2023, December 2023, then it's going to depreciate for all other months every month. But like I told you, the system is also integrated. You need to perform the aspect. We are going to get to the aspect of where you are supposed to do the depreciation. But let's just leave this as it is first. So this has so let's assume you have created the asset, you are fine. And how do you depreciate the asset? So let's say you have created the asset. This is it, right? You've created the asset. It is among other listed assets there, and it's available, so you can always come there. So automatically, let me just open this now. That same thing we created. Automatically, when this date is due, when is the next date due? The next date is what? Today is what? 16th of January 2024. So the system has automatically scheduled this date. Because these dates, um, we've gone beyond these dates, we've gone beyond these dates, definitely it can't do anything here. But watch what the system would do. This date is yet to be accomplished. We are not on this date, which is 25 January. We are not yet on this date. Immediately it is on this date, the system will depreciate, will record depreciation for 1, 2, 3. Automatically it will record depreciation for 1, 2, 3. Let's assume all these are in 2023 like this, and this is 1st of January. You understand? Or let's say 25th of January 2024. So it means that when you get to, because it's not yet 25th of January, today is 16th, so it won't do anything. So as long as you get to that date, the system will automatically depreciate from year to year. So that's what the system is going to do. But you, as a user, or you want to make sure that you get your reports intact before that date. So you can as well go and depreciate for this date. Or at times, this really does not happen. At times you could feel that um, you don't want the system to automate the depreciation. You want to go and record those automations yourself. Yeah, you can stop it. There's a place for us to stop it so that the system does not automate this depreciation on its own. But let's assume for this now, if you feel like, oh, okay, yeah, you want to depreciate for this date is gone and you need to record it into your ledger. So what the system will do is that it's going to generate a journal ledger for every transaction that depreciation is being done on. So let's say this, for instance, I want to depreciate for this one. I'll just click here and say make depreciation entry, and that's all. I'll just say make depreciation entry, and that's all. And I close this. You can see automatically what the system has done. When you see a journal entry, it means that this particular month has been depreciated. And if you look at the status of your asset also, you see partially depreciated. So it has started depreciation. So if I go back here, so the same thing too. Let's assume I've not depreciated this, and we're already on this same day, 25th. I can come here and just select. So the previous one, the system will automatically depreciate for all of them. So for instance, this now I don't have enough dates here, so I can just click on um, make depreciation entry, and the system that is done already. So it has depreciated. Now this now is not yet this date. So let's see what will happen. You can see we cannot perform that task. You can see make depreciation is not here again. Make depreciation entry is not here. So which means that we are not yet on this date. So that is why, as long as that date, when you get to that date, the system will make it available, or it will run it automatically for you. So that's that. So the system has depreciated for 2 months. You can see the accumulated depreciation so far is 42,000. You understand? So like that. So the system will keep depreciating on its own, like that, like that, like that. What else do I need to show you? Let's go back into, let's look at one of those assets. If I can get one asset that is not let's see this, or this would start depreciating by. So you will not see anyone uh is that is beyond these dates that have been depreciated. You won't see them. What else? What else? I think that's all. So if I click here now, let's assume I click here, then I need to do other transaction. I just talked about depreciation. You can see how that depreciation was very simple, seamless, no issue. If I come here and want to do some other activity, I can scrap my asset. I can sell an asset, I can repair an asset, I can adjust the set. So these transactions are available within the ERP system. So let's assume I want to sell this asset. So it will take you into the finance module. You can see, so it's more like you raising a sales invoice and all that within the system. So the system will do all these things seamless. Like I said, we're not going to details, just showing you the possibilities that are available within the ERPNext on fixed asset. So you can also make some kind of entries on repair of assets and all that. So you can see, you can decide to repair the asset. So at this point now, um, you need to talk about this an assets repair. So you need to talk about the failure date, if a cost center is supposed to attach to it. Yeah, yeah, also I forgot to show you something. So we can also make this field mandatory, because I missed that. So at the point of keying your assets, this becomes mandatory, because so that you don't miss it out. I was supposed to show you something on that as well. So you can as well show the repair cost of the asset, give the error description, actions that were performed so far, and you save it. So automatically, if you want to do a workflow on this as well, you can as well do it. So the system is so robust to accommodate all that. Okay, this was what I was trying to explain. Let me see if I can. I think I missed it at the point of creating an asset. Let me show you. Let's just look at one. Let me try to. Look at this accounting dimension. So you can pick the cost centers. You can pick different cost centers. Like this, for instance, now the cost centers we created here, we can pick it. You can see value chain management, blah blah blah, and all that. So this can actually be picked when you are creating an asset. So I missed that out the other time. The reason why I missed it out was because I was carried away with other the discussions on or other features. So, but if we had made this a compulsory field, just like this, it would have notified us, and we won't be able to move forward except with flow that then would have resolved that issue. So, I think those are just the only things around creating of fixed assets, how an asset can be there. So the same thing too, you can do maintenance of assets. Yeah, you can do maintenance of asset. That was just repair of asset. Let's look at maintenance of asset as well. You can see, so you can create maintenance team on the asset. You can um, look at this, for instance, maintenance team. Set up your asset maintenance team. Um, just give it a name. Choose your company, the maintenance manager. So you pick the maintenance manager as well. Then what else? um, then you start putting the team, entering the team members name. Now look at this now. So you can pick um, all these are users that have been created on the system. So before you can add a before you can add an asset maintenance team, you must have created them as a user on the system. So you start picking them as a drop down. You select as well the asset manager. Also from that list, you select that as well. Um, then by the time you select that, it drops down the manager's name or something. Okay, so it does all that for you. Then this is just for you to set up the team. Then as well, you need to schedule your maintenance. So you need to schedule the maintenance. You assign which of these team members are responsible for it. So um, so you pick the assets you want to schedule a maintenance for. You pick the fixed asset. You pick the maintenance team that you have created earlier, and it automatically bring the manager's name. Then as well, then you start creating different tags for each of those maintenance, like let's say servicing, um, monthly servicing, 3 month servicing, you enter it here. Then um, planned, we do that. Periodic aspect, yearly, daily, weekly, and all that. Assigned to who, so must be a team member on the system as well. Then the next due date you specify. So you just specify all that and click on save. So when the system when so you can see a log, a maintenance log. You can decide that you want the system to send you a notification when it is due or not. You can do that as well. Then you can create your assets log here as well. So you pick the assets uh, maintenance you have created, you pick it and you do all the transactions, write every information about it. Another thing I would like you to know is that each of your assets, you can also, there are so many things you can do within this screen, not only on this screen, but different screens. You can, the system is also, it has a document management module that you can as well use for what's it called, documentation. So every screen that you see here, you can attach a document to it. For instance, you are keeping your asset or you are doing some kind of maintenance and you wish to attach, let's say, some document, maybe the receipts of whatever you have bought, and you do that, you can attach it. Use this feature here, you can attach it. Then you can also, maybe you, as you are doing updates on it, you want some people to get notifications, you want all that, you can as well do that from here. You can share with people, you can put a tag on it, you can add a picture of the assets here on the system. So those are just the basic thing the system can do. So let me show you something as well here. We show you our reports. Let me show you this report. This report was actually customized for this client. Look at this now. You will see the assets code, you see the assets and all that on the system. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. So this will show you your full asset schedule, and it's not limited to this alone. If you have specific reports that you wish to get on the system, you can definitely get it. So this is just a basic thing regarding the asset. Let me go out of here as well. You can import, you can, there are so many things you can do within this system. So let me show you something. Okay, now another thing I was told that is important is asset movement. Yeah, so the system has an asset movement, and we created, we just for a practical purpose, for us to see, so that you can see the workflow that is even available within the system. So we are going to do a short demo on that. We created this workflow. We created a workflow. I'll show you the workflow. We created workflow for every state of action. So when there is a request for asset movement, it will be done on the system. They automatically send a mail. From the mail, you can pick the mail and approve it. You can reject it directly on the mail. So let me show you something here. Hold on, please. Okay. Okay, let me show you. Let me see workflow. Let me show you workflow list. So we just created this, which is asset movement demo. We created this. I'll just show you some of the things that we did. So this shows the state of the document. For every state of the document, all that has been created. The roles or the managers that will be involved, they were also attached to it. Then what action should happen when that document get to a certain state. So all that has also been defined. So you can see we can define every workflow process. We can definitely define every workflow process. And this workflow process as well sends a mail notification to the users that are involved. So I'm going to do an example of something now. Let me close this. Let me close this. Come to assets. Asset movement. Yes. So come to asset movement. So I'll show you. Let me show you this now. Look at this user. So we're going to have two users here. They are just asset users, and these are just created. So one is going to be a junior, while another one is going to be a manager. So the request will be done, and this user is only going to make a request, and this because of a demo purpose. So I don't want to have too many users created for different states of uh, document. I just wanted one, but you can have different. If you have different state, let's say five states, that is, it needs to be approved by somebody, and that person needs to be created on the system, and all that cannot be achieved on the system. But for this demo purpose, I just used this person to act on behalf of all of them, and this person gets a notification. So everybody that will be involved will also get a notification on it. I'll close this. So let me just close this. So I'm going to log out of this so that we make it interesting. I'm going to log out. So I want to act as the user now. Let me leave this screen. So I'll act as the user. I think is this. So look at this. This is a user that is trying to a junior user, which is just asset user. So this user is just to create the assets register. So when a new asset is purchased, its duty is just to go to the system, capture the details of that and that. So that's what I'm trying. No, sorry. Yes, that's its function, but we're not doing that now. But what we are doing is we want to monitor, we want to see how asset moves from one place to the other. But as it moves, there's a workflow process that was defined. So we want to look at that workflow process with asset movement. Sorry about that. So then I create. Yes, let me see. Can I remember? Okay, let's see. Okay, so now the user has logged in. So based on the right of functions given to the user, this is what he can see. Its functions are not more than this. So that's why I logged out of this. So the same thing too can be achieved for the client we are working on, and create different users and restrict them to their functions or their roles. Then I click here, let's say, okay, asset movement. The transaction are coming here to asset movement. So I'm going to initiate a request for asset movement. So let's say I click on add asset movement. So I say, oh, the asset. Then we can use the asset we just created. And this thing happened, let's say in November, I think. Let's say it happened in November. And the asset was moved around this time. That's good. Then the purpose, yeah, so I'm doing transfer of asset. So it's moved from one location to another. The assets now, which of the asset would you just we created this asset. Now automatically it brings out the location. If you can remember, this is where the asset is. You can remember this is where the asset is. Let me see if I can go back there so that we see what I'm trying to say. So let's see this. So the asset is in this location. Look at the location. This is where the asset. So we want to move it from this location to another location. So that is why we are doing asset movement. Now I say transfer, I'll pick my target location. So these are the only available location here that I can click on. So we can do it for different things. We can use it for cost centers. We can do that. We just need to customize for that purpose, and that's all. So then, if you have the reference documents to read, that might be coming from, let's say, from finance. Maybe there are some document that needs to be, so you can as well attach those documents here. So maybe somebody needs to sign some forms and all that, and you need to also attach it. We can as well achieve that within this system. So when we are done, just look at something. Look at this now. So this is the inbox. There's nothing here. So these two users now, when a request is done, it sends a mail to this person, to the asset manager, who is maybe the line manager, anybody. They are up to five, they want to get the mail, fine. It is achievable with that. Every one of them will get the mail. If it's just one person, the same thing will get. So look at this now. This is this mail. Let me see if this mail is as well open. So let's see this. So this is well open. So I think there's there's this. This is 007. Has it been saved? Mhm. Has it been saved? I just saw that, so I'm trying to see what number it is. Okay, this one is a completed transaction already. This one is a completed transaction. So we are trying to do a new one. So let me click on save here now. I'll save this. So you can see the status is request made. So request made. So this can be changed to anything that you have. Request made. Look at this is 008. Now automatically this user would get a notification for making this activity, for doing performing this task. Then as well as the manager attached, or the person that is supposed to approve this particular request will also get a notification. So let's wait. We are going to get the notification on time. If the server is not acting up, let's wait. If you're going to get that on time, I will show you two things now. Sorry. So this was the one that was there before. So let's wait a bit to yeah, so it's there now. This is the one we just did. So this is the one we just did here. And so if I click this, for instance, let me click this. Okay, so the next level is a custodian, maybe the custodian department or somebody now needs to approve or reject. All these are just generic name that we created based on what was explained to us. So this can actually be changed to whatever thing you want it to be. Then I'll do something. Hold on. Let's look at the initiator or the requester. If the requester also got a mail, so no mail has dropped there for the requester. No mail has dropped for the requester yet. Um, anyway, so that we don't waste time, let's see. So that we don't waste our time, maybe in between the mail can come in. But as long as so that has been done already. So this has been generated, so you can see the request. So this user can only initiate or can only make a request. Look at this now. This user cannot do anything else. You can only print, maybe print these documents or all that. So that's what this user can do. You understand? Based on the access rights and the functions that has been assigned to him or her. So let's just continue. So now, if you look at the line manager gets a notification. So there's a notification already, which was this that we saw. This. So we can, the line manager can decide to print to see a preview of what needs to be done. So you can see that, oh, there's a workflow state here, request was made, blah blah, and things like that. So you can look at and just read the details. You understand? So that's done. Now the line manager can from here approve this or goes into the system to approve. And when it goes into the system, you will see the same screen just like this. You'll see the same screen just like this, but the only difference is that it's going to see there's a function it's going to see here. You'll see a function here to approve or reject. So let me show you. Let me. How come? Why is this not still? Wow, this is surprising. This is because it's Gmail. Yeah. Anyway, so let's just move on. I'll create. Let me open. So I want to log in with another user. We can as well approve it directly on that screen. You can approve it from that screen, or you can log in into the system to approve it. So if you come here to assets and come to assets, and sorry, you come, please don't hack up again. Asset movement. So this was where the request was made. So if we click this and look at this action, you can see action. So custodian approves, custodian rejects. So the same thing. So if you look at it, compare it with what you have here. You compare it with what you have here, the same thing, but different user. Look at this does not have those functions because this user is not assigned to approve or to make authorization on the document. So this is a person that can make authorization on the document. So he logs into it, or he can as well just click on from here and say, oh, I want to approve it from his mailbox. I just say this. Hope the network is not misbehaving again. Okay. Um, measure. Okay. So it opens like this. Please confirm your action to custodian approves this document. So so I can say approve this document. I can view the document as well. So I click on custodian approves. So automatically the document has been approved. So by the time I go back to this screen, come back here, you can see custodian approved. You understand? So that process is completed like that. So custodian approves. So I come here as well. So let's say this. Let me just refresh this. I'm sure that thing has expired. So okay, so it's another tax. So now custodian approves. Just because this person can do all that, has approved it. So the next person, what could happen to the next? So if you go back to the document to see the next action, now maybe the assets department or unit needs to approve. So by that time, the user that is assigned to that particular authorization is what who will get the person will get this and do this. So just because for this demo we don't want to be logging in and out of the system, so that was why we created just one user. So the user, but you will be seeing the task. So if I click on approve assets approves, so you can see assets approved. No, no. Now, so asset has approved. So you can see the status is changing. The status changed from custodian approved to asset approved. So all these are names which can be changed to whatever you want, and at the same time, so look at that keeps going, and there will be a notification to everything. Now this person as well will get a notification. So if I come here, let's go back to notification. Sorry, the mail. So you can see. So still, this is another document. Um, now, you remember that this particular document has been approved from what's it called, from the system. If you try to approve it now, it will tell you this has expired or something. Document has been set to asset approved by. So this is telling you that this particular activity you want to do has already been done. So you cannot perform that same activity twice. For those that may be thinking that, whether if you do that here and what, so you won't be able to have that. So and the same thing to like change here. I want to change the status to say, okay, the security guys are supposed to approve, check, and they need to approve it. So they decide to approve it as well. Just a security approves, and you can see that's the end of the document. That's the end of the document, and security approved. So it means from the aspect of creating the asset, creating the asset movement, requesting for the asset movement till when the document was actually approved. I think those are just the only thing. So let's check. I don't know why this is not bringing out, why this Gmail is not getting that mail. Who is the initiator? But the initiator is as well supposed to get that mail. So let's move on. Let's see. Workflow is not peculiar to just this document alone, not peculiar to assets movement alone. You can use this workflow anywhere. So the only thing is we need to understand how that process flow, and that process flow will then be integrated into rate, and that's all. So that's all. So thank you very much. So if you have any question, let me know. Check my previous videos, click on like, share this. If you have any question again, you can send to me. I'll go through it and I'll respond accordingly. So thank you.